Cynthia, you are an outstanding alum of MTSU. You are a successful attorney. You have been an accountant. You've just done so many things. And you are also the director of a wonderful organization called In Full Motion. And I learned about you because the governor, in his very first State of the State address, Governor Haslam, recognized you and all that you and your husband Maurice have done. But you have an incredible personal story, a really just inspiring personal story about your road to college and about also how you've inspired other students to stay in school and to go to college. And I just want us to take this one-on-one chance to talk about that. Tell me a little bit about your road first. Let's start with that.
Well, my road has been one that started at the very bottom. We had a big family of 6 of us. I was 5th child. So by the time it was time for Mama to even be interested in what I was doing, Dad was sick, dying of terminal cancer of the throat. Had smoked so much, and my mom was a smoker, so cancer was like, we didn't know what it was. All we knew was that Mom couldn't go to work anymore. She had cleaned homes in a very affluent neighborhood in Nashville, Bill Meade. So she couldn't make ends meet with my dad not working anymore. She had to stay with him. He was being fed through his tubes, through his stomach. And I was 14, 15, seeing this and thinking, I can help. And we lived in the housing projects right here in Nashville. And I thought, I can help. I can get us out of this situation. I can get to where I can take care of Mom, Dad. I'll get a college education, and I'll be somebody really great. But all around me wasn't great. There was a lot of crime. There was a lot of shootings. There was real poverty. And I went to a public school. And at that public school, you really felt big during the day because I was making good grades. I was an A student, but at the end of the day, you got on your school bus, dropped you off at your home, and there you were back in that destitute state and not knowing which way to go. So I started working, and I started a plan, and that was I'm going to go.
And how old were you?
I was about 15 when I started planning, and in my junior year, my guidance counselor was talking to me about college, and I was like, how do you get to go? And she said, your grades are good enough, you can go. So I thought, well, great. Well, the strange thing occurs is when you graduate, and I graduated in my junior year, so I didn't have much focus at all from guidance counselors or anybody, but my counselor said, you're qualified to go. You got a good grade for an average. There was no more help. Graduation occurred on one day. The very next day, you're sitting with Mom, sick Dad, in the housing projects, and somebody told you you could go to college. So right before graduation, my guidance counselor had me fill out paperwork for college. And I had filled out several, but the one that had responded was MTSU. And I knew it wasn't in Nashville, but I knew that I was going. And I set out with continuing my plan of going away to come back, to get the family, to bring everybody out of poverty, and to help 2 or 3 maybe to see that this is possible. So I got my paperwork in the mail from MTSU, and it said student freshman orientation. And I thought, it gave a date, August 1st. And I thought, oh gosh, we didn't have a car. We didn't have any way for us to get around except public transportation.
Is that how you got back and forth to school?
No, we had school buses. Buses came in and took us about 17 miles to the high school because in Nashville we had to bring kids in and take kids out, and we were the kids to go out. So I checked and watched the Greyhound buses that passed on the main highway, which is about a quarter of a mile from the projects. And I could tell that Murfreesboro Greyhound was going probably near MTSU, so I saved my money to get whatever I could get together to go for that August 1st orientation.
Weren't you working part-time?
I was working part-time. I was working 2 jobs. I was working in a summer youth program, and I worked at the housing projects office, and then in the evenings, I went to McDonald's. And I worked, and many nights I walked home. But my mom thought the city bus was bringing me home, but I had to get the hours in because I was going to college. And I would walk, and that was a couple miles down Murfreesboro Road at night, just praying that I would be all right. And I was. And it was a blessing that day of August 1st, I'll never forget.
Tell me about that.
I had packed over time little bits of things that the letter said you were supposed to have. You're supposed to have a set of sheets. You're supposed to have your own towels. And that day, you had to have various toiletries. So under my bed, I had a suitcase ready. And the amazing story is my mom, who's 81 now, was a very strict person, disciplinarian. And we'd never traveled anywhere. And so that day, I knew what time buses were likely to come through because I had figured it out. At least 3 locals went down the highway, came down my stairs, and my mom was sitting in her usual place on the sofa waiting for her next time to feed my dad. And she just looked at me as if I have a runaway. That was the look on her face, not Cindy, not this smart one, because I had a brother that was an alcoholic and a sister that was an alcoholic. And she said, "Where are you going?" And I told her then, I said, I'm going to college. She said, "How are you going?" And I said, "The bus, Greyhound bus, takes you to MTSU." She said nothing else except call, collect when you get there. And I didn't know if it was pride or sadness or disappointment, but I knew that if she hadn't been for me, she would have said, "No way." So I started out walking, my little walk to the Pike. And it was just amazing because everybody was outside. And I wasn't pulling luggage then. You had to tote your luggage.
Right.
And I was a little skinny girl, and everybody said, "Where are you going, Cindy?" And I said, "I'm going to college." But nobody knew what that was. I mean, they just really didn't. They're like, "Okay," kept playing. And everybody asked me on my walk, "Where are you going?" "College." So when I got to the Pike.
How did you feel? How did every time somebody said to you, "Where are you going?" Here you're what, 17?
I had just turned 17, and I was so excited because it's the plan, and everything was fine. The only thing that probably would have stopped me from going to college would be my mother saying, "We need you here." And she didn't say that. That meant go. My biggest supporter, go. So I prayed, and I was so thankful that got to the Pike, and I don't know how long I waited, but I had my luggage by my side, and a Greyhound bus was coming over the hill. And I was so excited because I thought, "Oh Lord, if he lets me on," and I wasn't thinking I wasn't gonna get on, and I wasn't thinking I didn't have a ticket, and he stopped. And when the driver opened the doors, he said, "Where are you going, little girl?" Again, I looked like a little runaway, and I thought, I'm going to college. And he said, "Where?" I said, "MTSU in Murfreesboro." He said, "Well, do you have a ticket?" And I said, "No, sir, I don't, but I have money. And I've saved the amount of money exactly that it would take to get the local to Murfreesboro." And I stuck it out. And he said, "Get on." So I couldn't get my luggage on, so he put the bus in whatever they do, the brake, and he helped me on, closed the doors, and I never had a worry that this plan to get me, my family, and everybody I knew out of this situation, it was getting ready to happen. I saw it happening. And I got to MTSU. I had no way to get home ever. But I stayed there, I graduated, got my accounting degree, and it was really a blessing because I had a job on campus, and it was happening. My dad died, and my mom, was able to go back to school, and it just turned out just wonderful that I eventually ended up getting my law degree from Vanderbilt.
Well, I know. How impressive is that? Because you got out of school and went to work for the IRS, right?
Yes.
And very impressive as well. And
Thank
then
you.
at some point decided to go back to law school. Wanted to go to law school. You didn't go. You wanted to go to law school. You got a scholarship to Vanderbilt and graduated with a family. You had a family at that point.
That's right. That's right.
Graduated from Vanderbilt in law and have been a practicing attorney now. How critical was that first step out the door?
The first step out from...
To go to college. How critical was that first step for you?
That's really what brought me to In Full Motion, because that's where the at-risk kid is right now. It's not that you don't want to go. You have no means to go. Not even if you had the financial aid. You have no car. So all the financial aid in the world won't get you there. So the critical piece was me taking the step after a good educator said, here, do it. Do these papers, the papers. All of those things that led up to the decision to step out on faith based on that hard work and determination to do this, that's what we're missing. And that's what In Full Motion was all about when my husband and I decided to, let's do this. Because there's something that's got to push.
Right.
There's somebody's got to push a young person at that age to know that you do have some hope and you can make it.
You know, you and I, we were talking a little bit about the state has a 10% dropout rate, but in many communities, that's a 50% dropout rate. It's
easily.
not 10%.
Easily in the community I grew up in, it's the same today. Still housing projects today. It's still, my husband and I work in our church in the area. It's still it is the lowest income area in the city. But for most minorities and low-income students, the dropout rate in Nashville has been as high as 62%. And it's not newsworthy. It's just that quiet side that you try to help, but once you get a child public education, you give them a good education and give them the opportunity to graduate, it appears that there's no stumbling blocks in the way. But there are, and that's that connection between the school and the home.
Right. And in a situation like that where you have such a high dropout rate, it devastates a community. It devastates us economically as a state. It devastates that young person, that one young person who, like you, could have a life way beyond what they thought they could have.
Right.
But you and your husband have taken that step to make a difference in the life of a child. And I want to get to what we can do as communities, what we can do. But tell us about In Full Motion. You took your passion for education and you have made it, obviously, for so many. You've instilled it in so many. I heard that you are just buzzing around when you're at these ACT prep classes. They can't stop you. You're so fast.
You know, it's a blessing because it is exactly that. It's a passion. And every time I pass the housing projects, I see me. So if I can see me, then it's something that I need to do about it. And somebody helped me, that guidance counselor. And so I know that period of I don't know what to do. And so that's what we do in Full Motion. We get the kids and we let them know that, okay, you're smart and everybody's told you that you can go to college because you're getting a free education from kindergarten to 12th grade. Many countries don't have that, so you have nothing to complain about. And then the kid in these poverty areas like we were in, they say, well, great, how do I get it? How do I get it? So in Full Motion, we basically open the doors of wherever we can get. We started with 33 kids at the high school where my husband taught and coached, and it was, at that time, a 47% dropout rate. And we started informally helping athletes who had offers from universities for scholarships, and they had good, decent grades. They didn't even know there was an ACT test.
And that's what In Full Motion does, is they help these students
Right.
prepare and take the ACT.
Right. College prep, whatever they missed. If they missed putting an application in for college, we're talking to them about time for applications, ACT prep, because I didn't know the ACT was important. I didn't get prep. It was a blessing that it wasn't a requirement, but now it is. In a couple of years, it'd be a requirement to graduate, to have a certain score. So our kids would again have a situation where they won't graduate, and dropout rates would increase. So we do the mentoring piece. We talk to parents, explain to them ACT, explain to them college applications, explain to them just what an undergraduate degree is versus a technical school. And we have a parent club, and we meet monthly with the parents. Two ladies you met today are parent volunteers in the organization. And we started with 33 kids, and there were over 1,000 kids in the program representing, I thought, 58 schools. My staff said, oh no, it's 58 high schools and about 40 middle schools. And we started as early as 6th grade.
6th grade?
Yes.
Now tell me why. Why do you feel the need to start young to prepare kids for college?
You know, I could have gone to Vanderbilt undergraduate had I known what to do to prepare. And you know, I applied to Vanderbilt undergraduate, but I was too late. I didn't know the deadlines to apply. I didn't know the scores that you had to have. So it's never too early. The Tennessee Higher Education Commission says it's never too early to prepare for college. So in Full Motion, parents were bringing juniors and sophomores, but they also had kids with them that they had nobody to see after. And they said, can my 5th grader set in? And I thought, oh Lord, yes. Well, later on, the 5th grader said, can I take the test? So ACT says, we don't care. And after a while, we had 5th graders going into 6th grade, and 6th graders making to the 7th grade, and their test scores were as high as juniors and seniors.
And they were staying in school.
And staying in school. So they're so competitive now that they now know that my score in the 8th grade qualifies me for this school, but I have to work much harder now because I want to get into Vanderbilt. So I'm looking for Cynthia, Cindy's going to Vanderbilt, wherever it is your dream is to go, but you have to prepare early.
And it's right here in the Nashville area.
Yes.
You have students all across the Nashville area, and you meet on Saturday morning, starting like at 6:30 or something?
Well, we had said we'd start at 8 a.m. The ACT test, the SAT test are at 8 a.m. So we're conditioning the kids. Our logo is Building Champions for Life because we look at this as preparing for a big game, and big game is life. So Saturday mornings we said 8 o'clock, so the kids started coming at 7 because we give them a hot breakfast. Then they started competing for the hot breakfast, so it's got to be 6:30. So it is such a blessing to see on a Saturday morning 400-500 young people from homes that people thought they don't want anything and they can't learn. And here they are getting there. Aunties and uncles, aunts and uncles bringing them in, grandmamas. We have so many grandparents coming in with the kids. Whatever way they can get there, that's how they get there. And we stay 4 hours. And we go and say, dismissed. They're hanging around. They met new friends. We got people coming from as far as Lincoln County, Fayetteville, Paris, Tennessee. Mostly our county covered is Davidson, but many Middle Tennessee cities are participating.
And it's having an impact on students staying in school. They're wanting to graduate. They're wanting to go to college. It's going to make a difference in our state.
We always hate to say the 100% graduation rate, but we do. I mean, nobody drops out in our program. One year we thought we had one, and so I was like, oh my God, where is she? We looked for this girl forever. And she did have a baby, but she did graduate. So somebody said, oh no, you had one girl, she had a baby. But I'm telling you, we have a 100% graduation rate for our seniors that complete the program. But even after that 100% graduation rate, what's even bigger is we got 89% entering college. Entering college from our May 2011 class.
Wow.
And I'm looking everywhere to see where that stat ranks our program. And an at-risk child is 1 out of 5 chances that they'll go to college. And our rate is 89%. That is phenomenal. I'm excited. I just get chills every time I think about it.
Well, yeah, and you've not been in existence that long.
No, we incorporated and got our 501c3 status in November of 2005. So we're 6 years old, almost 7, coming up in November. And we're excited because our growth has been phenomenal, but we won't turn anybody away. We will not.
You know, you're making such a difference, and I know your husband, Coach Maurice Fitzgerald, everybody in this area knows him. He's been a championship coach many years. How did you meet him? Let's talk just a little personal thing here.
Let's see, conflicting stories between my husband and I. And he says I was at the grocery store with Mom, and he was with his mom. And he said I was looking at him, and of course I saw this guy just following me around the store. So that's how we met, but amazingly, that same summer, we went to a picnic, and he was Tennessee State, and I was Middle Tennessee State, and we never go to the same places. They're just not at my level, I thought. So I see this guy, and I think, this is the guy that was following me in the store. And he says, that's the girl that was following me in the store that day. And so we talked one at that picnic, and we talked. He was in a housing project in South Nashville, Edge Hill, and I was in J.C. Napier. So we had so much in common. His dad had died, and my dad was still sick and was still living at that time. And so we started talking and you know, being friends that summer, and that was 33 years ago.
Oh my goodness. And you have children?
We do. We have 2 sons, and my sister died from complications of lupus the second year that I was in law school. And so we raised her 2 boys. So you often hear with the Fitzgeralds with 4 kids, because we had 4 boys in a household all through the teen years.
Oh, while you were going to college?
Oh, yeah.
Back to law school?
Law school. Oh,
my
they
goodness.
laugh. You should see some of the lawyers in town. They say, oh, I remember we had a study group, and Cynthia said, I've got to go. My husband has a ball game, and my son's playing. They're like, you're going to fail college. You're going to fail law school. I said, well, so be it. I'll be back. And
you couldn't miss the game.
I could have missed the game. And you know, at my graduation from law school, the entire football team came. And it was amazing at Vanderbilt. You know, everybody can't go to Vanderbilt's graduation.
That's right. And
here comes the school bus pulling up around the big, wonderful tent. And I just said, oh, Lord, oh, Lord. I saw my husband.
And what high school?
My husband, Pearl Cone High School.
Oh.
They just won the state championship.
That's right.
And they got off the bus with shirt and ties on.
Oh.
And lined up around the tent and just applauded, and I was so overwhelmed, because those are our first group of in full motion kids.
Yes.
And a lot of them made it through college.
Wow. That's so exciting. You know, we just have a few minutes left. I could talk to you for days, I think. I just love being around you. I love what you're doing. And what advice would you give to students who might be watching, or people in the community who say, well, that's not my problem? Yeah. It's 2 different thoughts here, but first to a student and then to a community, a person in a community.
Well, poverty in any area of any state affects another part of the state. So for us to make Tennessee the great state that we are going to be always, we're gonna help somebody on the other side of the fence, because crime doesn't have addresses. To get kids in college gets kids off the street committing crime, doing the bad things. So you can help. We're a 501c3 organization. Make a contribution to In Full Motion, because you're making a contribution in your own community. You're keeping kids off the street. You're getting them in college. They can be doctors and lawyers and teachers, and they do come back in Full Motion. We may bring them back and they come back and work in an organization and show that you can make it. You can be successful and you can become a champion.
And they can, can't they?
Yes, they can.
I mean, all they have to do is take that step, that first step.
That first step with the encouragement. And we have people all over Tennessee that encourage our kids. We have motivational speakers that come in, and judges, and I mean, people who, police officers. The kids say, oh God, there's a police officer here. And you know, in the neighborhood, you only see a police officer if they're coming to get you, your mom, or your dad. So they're like, they hear about how you become a police officer, how you get in the Navy, and just how you can make a difference and come back to that same community and do the same thing over and over again. We expect to be 20,000 strong one day.
Oh, that's awesome. And I have no doubt, you'll put your mind to it and you'll be there.
Definitely.
And your mama?
Mama is going to be 82 this year, and she's a person that's right here in town, and it's a blessing because she helped us raise our children. She helped raise my sister's children. My husband's mother died, so she's been a mother to him. And she's come to football games and cooked burgers for us. And she's come to Info Motion when she could and help us fix the breakfast. And every time I always laugh, people laugh when they read articles about me and they hear that I asked my mom. You know, when you talk about somebody struggling and not having the means to do what they need to do for their children, sometimes that causes embarrassment. You know what my mom said? Oh no, tell it, because you did it. You did do it. With the help of God and our hard work and determination, we did do it.